Hello, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Scott Sports 101. I'm Scott Trella. We're going to talk Browns. We're going to talk about Deshaun Watson and the training of Baker Mayfield. We're going to talk about the MLB All-Star Game that happened on Tuesday. We're going to talk about the Guardians, so we'll be back in action tomorrow night. We'll get to all that, but first, here is today's Scott Sports 101 trivia question. Which two players share the single-season record for home runs by a Twins center? I'll have the answer later in the podcast. Now we're going to talk about, we're going to start with Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson took a huge step in resolving his legal issues a couple of Tuesdays ago when he settled 20 of his 24 civil suits by massage therapists alleging sexual misconduct during appointments, but the NFL says it will have no bearing on the decision on Watson's possible suspension. Under the personal conduct policy, today's and a couple of weeks ago development has no impact on the collectively bargained disciplinary process. NFL spokesman Brian McCarthy said Tuesday in a statement provided to Cleveland.com. At an NFL meeting May 24th, Commissioner Roger Goodell said the league was nearing the end of its investigation into the matter, but had no timetable for a decision once the NFL wraps up its review. It will be turned over to former U.S. District Judge Sue L. Robinson, who has been looking at this from every aspect. Keep that in mind. Watson's lawyer, Rusty Hardin, told Cleveland.com he believes the NFL would hand down its decision in June or July, and that it would come before the start of training camp, and it could come the start of training camp tomorrow or next week. The NFL Players Association is bracing itself for an unprecedented discipline for Watson, and is prepared to fight it vigorously. A league source confirmed to 2 and 4 Cleveland.com. The NFL PA, Robert Kraft of New England, and Daniel Snyder of Washington, and Jerry Jones of Dallas were all dealt with a light hand under the personal conduct policy. Tony Busby, attorney for 24 plaintiffs, announced a couple Tuesdays ago that 20 of the 24 cases have been settled. And a couple of weeks ago, and today, he said I announced that all cases against Deshaun Watson, with the exception of 4, have settled. Busby wrote in a statement provided to Cleveland.com, "We are working through the paperwork related to those settlements. Once we have done so, those particular cases will be dismissed. The terms and confidential. We won't comment further on the settlement or these cases." As stated, Ashley Solis, the first plaintiff, is one of the heroes of the story. Her case has not settled, and thus far, her story, that of the other 3 brave women who will continue, I look forward to trying these cases in due course, consistent with other docket uh, obligations and the court's schedule. Now, Busby had planned to file 2 more lawsuits and add the Houston Texans to the lawsuits. It's unknown, and it was, and I don't think he did. If he will still do that, and I don't think he did. The Browns are apparently eyeing a new $1 billion stadium, as you know. But before I get to that, I still want to. And now the Browns football team, the team is preparing and bracing themselves for a 2 to 8 games or 8 game suspension for Deshaun Watson, and so we'll see, because that decision could come either tomorrow, beginning of training camp, or next week when training camp fully gets underway. And the rookie players report to training camp tomorrow in Berea for practice sessions. So hopefully this decision is going to come either tomorrow or sometime next week. All right, now as I was saying, the Browns are apparently eyeing a new $1 billion stadium likely to come at a significant taxpayer expense as part of a costly lakefront redevelopment plan at the time when the team is already mirrored a multi-million-dollar controversies. Neo-trans real estate blogger Ken Pendergast reported the news in a post Friday, writing that unnamed sources close to team owners Jimmy and Dee Haslam told him they want to covered stadium they want a covered stadium that cost over $1 billion, and are even open to moving the city-owned stadium to a new location near downtown to get it. And so far, the Browns have not denied it. In a recent interview with Peter John Baptiste, Senior Vice President of Communications for the Browns and Haslam Sports Group, told Pendergast that he was a little too far out in front of the story and would not comment on specifics. Reached by phone Sunday, John Baptiste declined to respond to the blog post, but confirmed that the team is conducting feasibility studies on what a new stadium could look like. The results are expected sometime in 2023, next year, and focus primarily on renovating the current stadium, he said, but he could not definitively refute whether plans might eventually include rebuilding or moving the arena. Instead, he pointed to ongoing efforts to redevelop up to 70 acres of the city lakefront property, and on which the current stadium sits, into a sort of ballpark village surrounding and further supporting the stadium, as evidence of the team is intent to stay put. The plan envisions adding, housing, retail, parking, and hospitality and recreation spaces along the harbor, but is dependent on the city building a land bridge linking the area to other downtown amenities. Our focus is on the lakefront. John Baptiste said, that's the neighborhood we're in, and that's where we want to be. He could not say how much an upgraded facility might cost, but it's likely to require significant public funding, considering most professional teams negotiate subsides from the home city and county. The current stadium, which was built in 1999, cost $283 million, largely funded by the city bonds backed by the county's syntax on alcohol and cigarette purchases. A portion of that of tax, which expires in 2035, is currently used to pay for capital or emergency repairs to the stadium. Per terms of the team's lease agreement earlier this month, Cleveland City Council approved using the fund for $10 million in repairs, including a replacement of the pedestrian ramps that carry fans to and from the stadium's upper levels. The remaining portion, would come from the city's general fund. Now, the news comes at a time when the team is already under fire for guaranteeing quarterback Deshaun Watson's $230 million contract, the most in NFL history, despite the November 24th massage therapist who filed civil lawsuits against him alleging sexual misconduct. That means he could continue to be paid even if he does receive disciplinary action, ranging from suspension or from a specific number of games or indefinitely to banishment from the league. Now, that decision, as you know, could come for the Deshaun Watson case for Watson tomorrow or next week, and fans are hoping, and the players are hoping, for a 2 or 8 game suspension. So I will let you know when that comes in. The NFL Players Association is preparing to fight any suspension without pay, Cleveland.com's Mary Kay Cabot recently reported. The news also comes as the Browns continue to defend their $1 million relationship with First Energy and the ongoing bribery scandal around House Bill 6 and accusations that the company bankrolled a dark money group that tried to undermine its city-owned competitor. Cleveland City Council recently called on the company to relinquish its manning rights of the football stadium, but the Browns said they remain committed to our relationship and look forward to our continued partnership. First Energy reportedly, paid the team $107 million in 2013 for naming rights through 2030. The Browns have also been one of the main catalysts for redeveloping Cleveland's lakefront. The Haslams proposed a plan last year to extend the downtown mall into a sort of land bridge over the Ohio to Shoreway, finally linking downtown to lakefront attractions like the city-owned football stadium, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and the Great Lakes Science Center. Not only is it believed the bridge would increase public access to the lakefront, but it would extend the city's grid to the water edge and make new land for available and attractive for other businesses. Consider this. I'll continue this story. This will become a two-part podcast, so stay right there. I'll be right back. Stay with us.